Hi, my name is Mero Tobanol, and I want to welcome you to this webinar, and I'm really looking forward to sharing 3 amazing strategies that are going to take your business to the next level. Now, feel free to use the chat box and say hello. I'm going to be focused in on the content, and I want to give you the best content possible. I want to give you the best outcomes possible, and I want to be focused in on that. Now, I also don't want to waste anybody's time. I know that your time is really precious, so I want to get started right away because we are at the starting time right now, and I want to give you 45 minutes of content and nothing else. So I don't want to be interacting with you too much right now, but at the end, I'll show you how you can ask any questions and get all of your questions answered for free, which is going to be absolutely amazing. Now I'm going to change cameras in just a second. I'm going to go from this camera to the camera on the computer, and you'll see my screen. So I'm going to get straight into it because I don't want to waste anybody's time, but feel free to leave a comment, and I love reading all of your comments. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side on the computer. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen and hear me. I might sound a little bit different because I'm using a different microphone, but that's okay. Now let's get straight into it because I have a lot of content that I want to squeeze into 45 minutes. My fingers are crossed that I can get it all in. I want to give you as much content as possible. So we're going to be looking at how to increase your cafe's revenue and profit, and most importantly, how to do so without stress or working hard. Because we could get you working harder, we could give you even more stress, and you could get some more revenue and profit. But there are ways of doing it efficiently without stress and without working harder, and that's what this webinar is going to look at. So I'm excited to get into this with you. Let's have a look. Let me ask you first though, what if you could increase your profit by a minimum of 60% without the stress and overwhelm? Or would you love to have more time for the things that are important to you? Well, guess what? If you are looking for both of those, then you're in the right place. Now, I quickly want to let you know who this is for and who this is not for, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. This webinar is for cafe owners who are ambitious. It's for people who are willing to do some basics to get results beyond their wildest dreams. It's for people who feel that they deserve more out of life, and people who are willing to take responsibility for their life. This webinar is definitely not for people who blame everyone and everything, or who think that success is luck, who are not willing to follow some simple steps, or who expect somebody else to do all the work for them and feel entitled to success. And it certainly isn't for people who like drama. Okay, if you've decided to stick around, then you're probably wondering why I'm doing this. So I'm looking for like-minded individuals who want to achieve their greatest life possible, who want to earn what they're worth, who want to have more time for the things that are important to them, and who want to have less stress and overwhelm. This is my passion. Now, I'm not sure if you are one of those like-minded individuals yet, but by the end of this webinar, I guess we'll find out. Here's why you need to know what I know. I'm a business coach who's been coaching and presenting for over 20 years now. I'm a promoter and run the largest cash flow club in Sydney. We even have Spider-Man come and play with us. I love learning and have many valuable skills to share, not just business skills. I've run multiple businesses. I love meeting and learning from successful people. And my cafe, Waldemeer's, was a finalist in the Sydney Business Awards in the Sydney CBD. And my look was slightly different back then. And I am passionate about helping business owners like you rediscover their dreams and helping you achieve success using my many years of experience, my connections, and the knowledge that I've accumulated from seminars and my own coaches, among other things. Now, I love working with enthusiastic and ambitious business owners. My partner Young and I live a wondrous life in Sydney. We love traveling all over the world, and we want to share our life's joy with everyone we meet, because life is supposed to be fun, even if you're a cafe owner. Now, I don't want to talk too much about me. I want to spend my time with you showing you some things that you can implement immediately that will get you amazing results. So here's the simple model for success. Skills, sales, systems, staff lead to success. Very simple to implement. So in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you 5 actions that can change your life immediately. Now I've added a couple of things in, so we might go over the 45 minutes slightly. But if I promise to give you lots and lots of content, is that okay for you? Okay, if that's okay for you, then stick around. Now, I don't know your business personally yet, but if I walked in, I'd want to find and plug the 2 biggest potential leaks. I'd show you how one simple calculation can increase your sales, increasing your profits by 60% or more. I'd show you how to give your marketing a head start and avoid a major headache using systems. And I'd show you how to get the best results from your staff. And how to take the first step to the greatest kind of success possible. Now get ready for lots of contents and something really, really unexpected. I am not going to sell you anything today, so you can relax and stop protecting your wallet. And if you stay until the end, I have a gift for you worth $313 that will dramatically change your results when it comes to owning a cafe. And it's a way to have all your questions answered for free. Now, before we do that, we have to check in with you to see whether you're doing things the hard way. Are you getting up early and going to bed late? Are you working yourself to death? Are you worrying about money or how little profit you're making? Are you not paying yourself a wage that you are worth? And are you never finding the time to do the things that are important to you? In short, are you getting screwed by life? I'm going to show you that it doesn't have to be this way. Let me tell you very quickly about the easier way. It's quick and simple steps that are used by some of the best cafe owners in the world. There are some shortcuts, and you're going to gain the skills that you need to achieve greater success without having to go through all the mistakes I had to learn from. And if you implement all of these things, it's no more implementing and hoping and praying. It is strategies that will get you there. But having said that, here's a quick disclaimer. Anyone can achieve success following the steps, but I don't know if you're going to implement the easy steps. Some people get distracted easily. Most successful people take action. Speed of implementation equals success. Will you implement quickly? Now, I don't know your exact circumstances, but if you use common sense to apply the steps to your situation, then they will work. If not, obviously you're not going to get the results that you expect. So any kind of potential results are not to be taken literally unless you apply effort, persist, and have patience. And remember, business is unpredictable and your response determines your success. So even though I know the system works, I can't guarantee your results unless you do if your response to unpredictable events is good. So you can determine your destiny by committing yourself to do whatever it takes to implement what I teach you and take advantage of my free gift, which is coming up. So, results are not typical. But enough about the legalities. It's time to give you what I promised you. Let me start by revealing how to find and plug the 2 biggest potential leaks. Let me start off with an interesting story. and tell you about the day I went to an impressive office on the 56th floor with a breathtaking view. Now, this is the actual view that I was looking at when I signed my first lease for my first ever cafe. I was really impressed by the view. I was really impressed by the people, and I was a little bit nervous and intimidated. And I missed a couple of things and made a couple of mistakes, which meant that I had a couple of leaks in my business. Now, a very quick disclaimer before I show you how to fix the leaks that I had in my business, and that you might have as well. Now, you may not like math, but if you like counting money, they're going to like what we're going to be talking about. First off, staff costs. Let me give you an example. Let's estimate your revenue to be $2,000 per day multiplied by 5 days multiplied by 48 weeks. Now you use whatever numbers are relevant to your business. In this example, it's $480,000 by the end of the year. Now we're going to multiply this by 0.25. Now if you are a fine dining restaurant, or if you have more staff because you have a higher service level, you might want to calculate this with 0.3. But for most cafes, you're going to be calculating 0.25. Now that 480,000 multiplied by 0.25 is $120,000 per year. So far, very, very simple maths. I hope that's okay for you. Now that is equal to $10,000 per month that you can spend on staff costs. So if you're spending more, we need to make some changes. If you start spending less, thumbs up, you're doing really, really well. This $10,000 includes all staff expenses, super, workers' compensation, fringe benefits, not just wages. Okay. So if you are spending more on your staff costs than that amount, then we need to look at possibly cutting hours in quiet times. Now, you may not be able to just cut small portions because of the law. So you'll need to see what you can do to cut hours and rearrange your roster in order to be able to reduce some of your staff costs. Once you've done that, you can also look at increasing prices, but I'm going to come back to that because there's something we need to do before we can increase prices. We also need to look at working more efficiently. To do this, staff can either be standing around doing nothing when it's quiet, or you can get them polishing glasses, you can get them cleaning the shop, or even more efficiently, you can create flyers and get them handing those out when it's quiet, which can increase the brand recognition of your cafe. More people will know that your shop exists. And if it's quiet during lunchtime, if they're handing out flyers, you might actually get a couple of people to come into the shop during that quiet period, thereby making some more money so you can actually pay for your staff. So those are the three things that we want to do to cover our staff costs. Second potential leak, rent. So we're going to use the same example. And that's still $480,000 by the end of the year. This time we're going to multiply it by 0.08. And this is the rule of thumb for just about any shop. So just everybody calculate it at 0.08. So that equals $38,400 per year. Still very simple maths. $3,200 per month, which is the amount of rent that we can pay. Now, if you're spending more than this, again, we need to do some things to fix that. If you're spending less than $3,200, thumbs up. We're doing really, really well. So if your rent costs are too high, again, we can increase prices. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. And we need to be increasing catering jobs. So rule of thumb is that cafes will break even if they have no catering. So you'll be able to give yourself a basic wage, cover your staff costs, cover your food costs, cover your electricity and those kinds of things, and that's it. No profit unless you have catering jobs. So if your expenses are too high, increasing the amount of catering that you do can alleviate that. To do that, you need to make sure that you've got a catering menu. You need to make sure that you've got a procedure for your staff to be able to implement catering, and you need to advertise and let people know that you are doing catering. Okay. And then you also need to understand commercial leases. Now, I don't want to go into this too deeply, but it's important to realize that Your landlord can't just reduce your rental price. If he is charging you X amount of dollars, then the valuation of the building is based on the amount of rent he's charging. So if he reduces your rental price, then the valuation of the building goes down and he's potentially going to lose his building. So you can't just ask for a rental reduction. But you can still talk to your landlord and ask him for the following. You can ask him whether he can help you with some fit out. This means that if you are struggling with your rent and it is too high, you might ask him to help you install some air conditioning or something else that you need in order to be able to attract more customers into your building so that you can then pay the rent because you're generating more revenue, and therefore he doesn't have to kick you out and look for a replacement. He'd rather keep you and see if he can help you out. The other thing you can do is ask for rent-free periods. So you might ask for 2 or 3 months rent-free. So he will subsidize that rent and allow you to not have to pay rent for a couple of months, because that will allow you, if you're going through a tough period and you can prove that you're going through a tough period, you do need to show them that you're doing everything you can to get catering jobs, that you're increasing your prices, that you're doing whatever it takes to advertise and get people into the shop. But if you are really struggling, if there are roadworks or if there's something else that is stopping people from coming to your shop, you can have a talk to your landlord about a rent-free period that will allow you to get on top of that. And again, it's better for him because it means that he doesn't have to kick you out and look for a replacement, which is a lot of work for an owner. And potential leak bonus, excessive supplier costs. Now, when I first got my shop, I quickly changed suppliers because the price of my fruit and vegetables had gone up and the quality was not very good. I got a new supplier, and within a couple of weeks, the prices were starting to go up again, and within a couple of weeks after that, the quality was going down as well. So I got back to the same position that I was in. So how can you fix that? Well, you approach 2 new suppliers and then you tell them and your current supplier that you're going to do a supplier audit. What's a supplier audit? You ask all 3 of them to give you a price and quality quote. So ask them to deliver some goods, ask them to deliver the same ones as samples. And once you get those samples, ask them to give you a quote on the price for the quality of the samples that they're giving you. This way you can see the quality of what you're going to get and the price that they're going to charge you for it. If they know that you're going to be doing this with 2 other suppliers, they will give you probably the best price and quote that they can give you. Choose a supplier. Don't necessarily only choose it based on price. Make sure that quality and everything else is also calculated in there. And then let all of them know that you're going to repeat the process in 3 months' time. This is very, very important. Now, you could go and compare 1,000 different shops, but that is way too much work. And you're going to go crazy figuring out which one is the best one. So just do 3 at a time, and then every 3 months, pick another 2 new suppliers, repeat the process every 3 months, and eventually you'll find a really good supplier. Don't stop this process though. Keep doing your supplier audit, and it will keep your suppliers sharp. They will keep giving you good quality at a low price because they know that you'll swap to somebody else if they start giving you higher prices and bad quality. So this is a great way to keep your supplier costs in check. Now here's how to apply this in the easiest way possible. First, you need the discipline to sit down after work one day and actually do the calculations, or you can outsource this to your accountant or somebody else who can help you. Calculate what your rental should be. Calculate your staff cost percentage. And call your landlord if need be and set an appointment. And then get your chef, you can outsource this to your chef, get him to do a supplier audit and call 2 new suppliers. And make the changes to get the numbers into the acceptable range so you make more money. The day that I signed my contract, I bought a sinking ship. It took a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get my cafe floating again. Now, it could have been prevented had I known the calculations and skills that I've just shown you. So make sure that you implement what I just showed you if you want some smooth sailing, because otherwise you're going to be bailing water like a crazy Jack Sparrow. Number 2, how one simple calculation can increase your sales, increasing your profit by 60% or more. Now, quick warning, you're going to see lots of numbers, but just remember that even though you don't like math, you probably like counting cash. So just imagine that each part of this calculation is going to increase your weekly income, and it will. And I'm going to show you how to find the numbers, I'm going to show you how to do the calculation, and I'm going to show you how to outsource it. So this is going to be easy. So welcome to the profit model. Now I want you to know that all numbers are fictitious, but I'll show you a real life example after this. Imagine you have a population of 2,000 people around your cafe. We'll talk about leads a little bit later. Say that out of those 2,000, 750 of those are your customers. Now, don't worry about the next 3 in too much detail, but if we have transactions for the week, and I'll show you how to calculate these later, of 1,125, you have units purchased of 1.2, and you've got your average unit price 6.8, and I'll explain all of those later. If you multiply 1,125 by 1.2 by 6.8, it will give you a gross revenue of 9,180 for that period. Let's say that we have returns and bad debt, so returns being things that are returned, and bad debt being people that run away and don't pay for things. Then we subtract the 60 and the 8 from the 9,180, and that gives us 9,064. So far, the math is all very, very simple still. Now, we've got a gross profit margin, which is 0.647. We multiply that by 9,064. It'll give us a gross profit of 5,864. So you're probably wondering what gross profit margin is and how to calculate it. So our gross revenue, which is our sales, is 9,180. We've already calculated that one. Our cost of goods is what it cost us to be able to make those sales. Let's assume that that's 3,240. Again, I'll show you how to do that later. Divided by sales, once again, of 9,180 will give us 0.647, which is the one that we already have in our calculations. After our gross profit, we are going to take off fixed costs. Let's say they're 4,864. We have a wage that we're paying ourselves of 1,000. That leaves us a pre-tax profit of 0. Break even. Don't worry that wages are 1,000 right now. These are all fictitious numbers. Now let's make this a little bit more exciting, and let's do a bit of work. Some of the things that we've already been talking about. We plug some of the leaks, and we're actually increasing one of these areas by plugging one of these leaks by 10%. So all the numbers stay the same, except for the average unit price, which has gone from 6.8 to 7.48. What this does is it increases our gross revenue from 9,180 to 10,098. Everything else stays the same, but our net revenue goes up to 10,030. Gross profit margin the same. Our gross profit has increased to 6,489. Fixed costs and wages the same. We now have a pre-tax profit of 625. So by plugging a leak, this is the kind of thing that can happen. Now, what happens if we plug more than one leak? Let's say that we're increasing everything by 10% across the board. Let me tell you a quick story. This guy was the head of the coaching team of the Great Britain cycling team. And he came in and he said he wanted to start making 1% increases in all of these different areas. How to get the pedals moving faster, how to increase the ergonomics of sitting on the bike, what the athletes were eating, to get 1% increases in every area. By doing this, they dominated. They went from being absolutely nobodies in cycling to being the world dominating country. We're doing the same thing here. We're increasing everything across the board by 10%. So we're increasing the customers, we're increasing the transactions for the week, we're increasing the units purchased, average unit price has already been increased, we're reducing the returns, we're reducing the bad debt, and we're improving our gross profit margin. So we're spending less for the same amount of sales. So what all of this does is it compounds through. So our gross revenue has gone from an original 9,180 to 12,209. Our net revenue has gone from an original 9,064 to 12,151. But the most exciting thing is that after fixed costs and wages, which we've left exactly the same, our pre-tax profit has gone from 0 to 2,034. We can use that amount to reinvest it into the business to generate even more profits, or you can start paying yourself a higher salary. Now that is exciting. So before I show you how to do these calculations, because this is a really exciting calculation, even if you don't like maths, I'm sure you're excited by this. Here is why this information is as good as gold. So let's write down those things again. If you increase your population, it means that more people know about your shop. And for each of these, there is something that we are doing to be able to make that increase. For each of those things that I've just put up on the screen, there are strategies that you can implement to make those increases. Which means that no matter where you're at with your business, you can implement things that can increase all of those different areas. That is really, really exciting. So this is a way of increasing your profits by 60% or more. So how do we do this in the simplest way possible? The simplest way is with a POS, a point of sale system, just like this one here. If you don't have one, it's a little bit more calculations, but you can still do it. Let me show you how. So these are some numbers from my cafe back in the day. I'm going to show you where these numbers come from on these sheets. So customers 58. So on the sheet that says entered, which proves that my accountant has put them into the system, you'll see a circle, a red circle around the 58 for the number of people, so the number of customers. The transactions for the day, 63, is the number of bills that we've given out. That's the number of transactions that we've made for the day. Now our units purchased per transaction is the amount of items that we've sold, 277, you can see the circle on the second page, divided by the number of transactions will give us how many items were purchased per transaction. So how many items were purchased for every bill. So in this case it was 4.39, which is actually quite good. Now our average unit price is 979.6, which is our gross sales, divided by 277. So this gives us what the total amount was divided by the number of items that we had. So that comes to $3.53 that was spent per item. Our gross revenue is 63 multiplied by 4.39 multiplied by 3.53, which gives us 979.6, which is the same as the gross sales on our docket. Now, if you didn't round the numbers, you'll come to 979.6. If you only use 4.39 and 3.53, I went to 8 decimal points, so that gave me exactly 979.6. If you're only going to 2 decimal places, you'll get 976.29 instead. Doesn't matter. Returns 0, bad debt, one person ran off with a coffee for $4. So we subtract the 4, 975.6 is our net revenue. Let's assume that our cost of goods, so for that day we needed to spend $230 to be able to make the sales that we made for that day. So our gross profit margin, 979.6, our gross sales, I've circled that one for you, minus the 230 cost of goods divided by 979.6 is equal to 0.765. Our gross profit is therefore 975.6 multiplied by 0.765 is equal to 746.54. Let's say that our fixed costs every day are $32.80, and our wages, we had 2 staff members, 1 part-time, 1 full-time. So that's 12 hours worth of work multiplied by $16 per hour, 190 due in staff costs. Let's say we're paying ourselves $50 an hour multiplied by 8 hours, $400. That gives us a pre-tax profit of $121.74. Now, we can then check that against next week's numbers, tomorrow's numbers, to see what's going up and what's going down. You can calculate this on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And if you see the numbers are going down, we need to make changes in the areas where they're going down. If they are staying the same, we can implement strategies in order to be able to get them up, in order to be able to increase that pre-tax profit and the owner's income. So if you like counting money, then you are going to love implementing this or getting your accountant to implement this. Now I'd like to show you how to give your marketing a head start and avoid a headache. So you sit and think about how to improve your business, and then bam, it hits you. You're going to give a free chocolate eclair to everybody whenever they buy a coffee. You're going to hand out flyers and let everybody know about this. And you make the chocolate eclairs yourself, so they cost next to nothing. It's a brilliant idea. It's going to bring many, many more people into your cafe. But here's the challenge. Your cafe can handle X amount of people. More than that, and your staff is going to panic. Your staff is going to get in trouble. Your staff is not going to be able to serve everybody with great service, or not going to be able to serve everybody quickly enough. So we need processes before we can implement the marketing. And we need to think about those processes from the customer's point of view. So how do we do this? We need to write flowcharts for every process in your business. Now, I'm going to give you some very quick examples. Shop opening checklists, end of day checklists, closing the cash register, cash banking checklists. There are many, many checklists that you can implement that are going to be very, very helpful to be able to deal with more customers. So before you start your marketing, you need to have all of these processes. I'll put the rest of them up, so that you can deal with a larger amount of customers. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. What other tasks do you regularly perform in your shop that are not in this list? What tasks are you not doing? So research other shops or online examples that you could start doing that will give your customers a better experience. Because it's all about giving your customers a better experience. We can get more people into the shop, but if your staff can't handle the extra amount of people, if your processes can't handle the extra amount of people, it'll turn into an absolute disaster. People will be disgruntled and not get the service that they deserve, or get very, very slow service, and they won't hesitate to tell other people. So let me give you an example. So we need checklists, but we also need processes. So we can do flowcharts of things that we need to do. So does your barista know how to change the grind? This is a flowchart that will help your barista make the perfect coffee every single time. So here's how to do this the easy way, because that might look like it's very complicated to you right now. So the easy way, hold a staff meeting and ask your staff to document their processes. Ask them to highlight improvements based on the customer's point of view that would enable you to deal with an increase in business. Now, it's important to let your staff know that you're not looking to work them harder. Let them know that the processes are there so that you can make more, which is to their benefit, so that there is enough money to pay their wages, because otherwise there may not be enough money to pay their wages. and that you also don't want them to be bored twiddling their thumbs while they're at work. So if you can increase the business of the shop without them having extra stress, then they're going to have a better time and there'll be money for their wages. And they'll be willing to help you out. Okay, and that brings us to the last one. Now I'd like to show you number 4, how to get the best results from your staff. For this one, I'm going to share 3 interesting stories. First off, Steve Jobs was quite a hard man. He used to fire people for no reason, shout at people, get really, really upset. He was quite an angry person sometimes. But one thing that he definitely knew how to do was create a winning team. Otherwise, Apple would not be the company that it was today if he couldn't create winning teams. So one way in which he did that was by selecting the right people. And this is a true story about Steve Jobs. One day somebody came in, they were wearing a suit, a tie, nice shoes, came in with an attaché case, and Steve Jobs looked something like this, and he actually sat in on that interview. And so the guy thinks that he's going to get the job because he's got really good credentials, he really, really wants to work for Apple, he knows the company really, really well, and halfway through, or probably about 5 minutes into the about 5 minutes into the interview, Steve Jobs just puts up his hand, stops the guy, and says, "I'm not hiring you." And the guy is all shocked and completely doesn't understand. He says, "Why?" And Steve says, "Well, look, you're not going to be comfortable here. You wear a suit, a tie. You don't fit into our culture. We like walking around with bare feet and we do things really creatively, and that just isn't your personality type. So you're not going to fit in here well, and so we're not going to hire you. You need to go and find some other job with a company that is more like your personality." And so that is story number 1. Story number 2 is chocolates and flowers. So we all know that if a guy comes home with chocolates and flowers, the girl is over the moon. Usually the guy will come home when she's been really upset about something and he's done something wrong, so he'll bring home chocolate and flowers. Now the interesting thing is that subconsciously the woman wants to get chocolates and flowers. So she's going to be thinking, how can I get more chocolates and flowers? Subconsciously, she doesn't realize she's doing this. What will happen though is that she's going to subconsciously be looking for things that he's doing wrong. And that is why sometimes women will nag and complain about lots of things to their husbands or partners, because they would secretly like more chocolates and flowers. And this is a way that they know of getting more chocolates and flowers. So we can also do the opposite. We can give them chocolates and flowers when they're happy. If they're upset with us for some reason, we stop giving chocolates and flowers, then the opposite will happen. They will want to get more chocolates and flowers, and so they will quickly go from upset to happy again, because that means the chocolates and flowers are coming again. Story number 2. And story number 3, I'm just going to put a picture up there. We're going to talk about firm but fair. Would you find it fair if you're speeding slightly and a helicopter flies over and just shoots you down? Okay, let's have a look at these in a little bit more detail and how this relates to getting the best results from your staff. So I'm going to show you the unbelievably simple way to get the best results from your staff. So first off, we need to contract the best. And in the same way that Steve Jobs hired his staff, we need to do the same thing. We need to find what our culture is and hire people that fit within that culture. Because when we do that, everything's going to be so much smoother, because our staff is going to work well with them because they have the same kinds of ideas of how things should be done. And so just looking for cultural fit will get you contracting the best staff possible. And it doesn't matter if you let somebody go that has even better credentials. If they're not going to fit in, it's going to rub. It's not going to work. The next thing is compliments. So just like giving chocolates and flowers, compliments are what staff really, really want. So if we see them doing something right, we give them a compliment. So we could always be looking for what they're doing wrong. And sure, if we are looking for something wrong, we'll always find something. But we can always also find something that people are doing right. So when we compliment them on it, they're going to be willing and wanting to do more good things for us, which is a really, really good thing. Now, some people think that that's a bit too soft. So step number 3 is compliance. So we definitely want to compliment staff whenever we can, but doesn't mean that we don't say anything or ignore things that they do wrong. We need to make sure that we've got job descriptions and know what everybody should be doing. So there could be checklists, for example, and we can check to make sure that if at 7 o'clock the eggs are supposed to be packed away, or if at 9 o'clock the lettuce is supposed to be cleaned, we can check in the kitchen and check to make sure that it has been done or not. Now, we could start off with a compliment if something has been done right, then we mention something that hasn't been done right, then we might mention another compliment. And nobody's going to get upset over the thing that they haven't done right, because we have acknowledged some good things that they've done, and we have then mentioned the thing that they haven't done so well. So just like this helicopter, we want to be firm but fair. We're not going to fine everybody immediately for doing something wrong. We're going to be like a police officer that gives you an initial warning and lets you drive off without anything. But if he catches you again, of course, then we want to make sure that you're not going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So make sure that you hire for culture, that you give compliments really, really well and very liberally. So give lots of compliments, but make sure that people are also doing what they're supposed to do, and deliver it in a way that you're finding something good to show them that you recognize that they're doing something good, and then mention what they might not be doing so well, and then maybe mention something else that they're doing really well. Now, if somebody was always nagging and complaining at you, you would hate that, right? That's maybe even why some of you left your jobs and started your businesses. So why would you do the same thing to your staff? If you were bullied at school, why would you then go and bully somebody else? There's no point to doing that. So let's work on contracting the best, complimenting, making sure people are compliant, and I guarantee things will be completely different for you, and you'll start conquering staff issues for good. Okay, and a quick extra bonus, even though I think we are getting close to time. How did Starbucks succeed? Why do people visit your cafe? You might be surprised to find out that it's not for the coffee and not for the food. Usually people go to a cafe in the morning because they want somebody friendly to talk to before they're going to get yelled at and harassed by their boss for the rest of the day. They go to the cafe to be able to escape the office for a while. And so it's more the social interaction than the coffee or the food. So Starbucks realized this, and they wanted to go back to the origins of what made cafes great. So cafes came about in Italy primarily, and they'd offer comfortable atmospheres, a good conversation, and good food. Now, something else Italian cafes probably had, and they definitely have it now, is great service. Great service. Know your customers by name, know their family, know their order. If you actually care, you will win customers for life and make way more money than if you know the name but don't really care, know the family but don't really care. Really care about your customers. Make regular customers feel special. If they're waiting in a long line because there's a conference at the hotel near your shop, bring them their coffee so that they don't have to wait, and they will be more loyal to you than you could ever imagine. If somebody's buying a bag of coffee, if you sell bags of coffee, maybe give them a free cup while you are putting the coffee in the bag, or while you are grinding the coffee, whatever it is that you do. If you make a bad coffee, don't serve it. Remake it. It might take a little bit longer, but people will appreciate it. You could do tasting events. You could teach barista classes. Some of your customers might be curious about how the coffee is made. I used to even teach people that were going into barista competitions how to prepare for those competitions. It was also a great way of generating a little bit of extra revenue for the business. Now, this is a link to some ideas on how to give great service. There are plenty more of those, and make sure that you keep checking out what other shops are doing. Go and visit other shops for further ideas. Remember I said I'd mention price increases? Well, when you have great service, you can start to increase your prices immediately. This is one of the quickest and easiest things to implement from the profit model. But you must offer great service and people will gladly pay more. So if you put a bit of effort into your service levels, then you can very quickly start increasing your profits. Now, I promised you that I'd teach you 5 things today. How to find and plug the 2 biggest potential leaks, how one simple calculation can increase your sales, increasing your profit by 60% or more, how to give your marketing a head start and avoid a major headache, how to get the best results from your staff, and how to take the first step to success. And I threw in a bonus, how Starbucks succeeded and how you can implement the same things. So how did I do? Now here's the real opportunity that I see for you. Cafe profitability is down on average. However, the cafe industry in Australia is an $8 billion industry. And if you know what you are doing, you can avoid the loss of profitability. Even if you are profitable, you are still probably leaving money on the table. You can get better results from your staff. Perhaps you can even make a difference in the world doing something meaningful. And I know that you can free more of your time. Some statistics on the cafe industry for you. Now, I know what you may be thinking. However, it's not about time or money. It's about taking action right now. You just need to get started. The good news is it's not about whether you can do all of this right now. It's about whether you want it badly enough and whether you can and will follow simple step-by-step instructions on how to do it. Even if it seems challenging to you, take the first step and then keep following the simple system. What do you need to win? You need the right attitude, you need the right system, and you need the right help. So what now? You've got 2 choices. You can click away and forget everything that I've just told you. But that also means you go back to your old results. But if you really want things to be different and to change your life in this area, then here is how I can help. Congratulations! Here is the free gift that I promised you at the start of this webinar. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to 8 people only, about how you can apply these ideas to your life starting today. Whatever your biggest problem is, I know how to solve it. On a 45-minute call, I'll help you in 3 ways. Firstly, I'll talk to you about your biggest challenge right now. Secondly, I'll help you solve it. And thirdly, I'll set out a step-by-step plan as to how you can reach your end goal without stress, without overwhelm, and without working yourself to death. So remember, this is for cafe owners who are ambitious, people willing to do some basics to get results beyond their wildest dreams, people who feel they deserve more out of life, and people who are willing to take responsibility for their life. If you can say yes, that you are that person, then I'm happy to help you for free during a 45-minute strategy call. So why do I do this? If we make a connection and you are absolutely positive that I can help you achieve your goals, then you may want to apply to work with me. If it's a win-win for both of us, that's great. If not, that's no issue at all. Click the button you see now. We have a 48-hour window available only for 8 people. So remember, on a 45-minute call, I will help you in 3 ways. I will talk to you about your biggest challenge right now. I'll help you solve it, and I'll set out a step-by-step plan as to how you can reach your end goal without stress, overwhelm, and working yourself to death. So click the button you see now. We have a 48-hour window available only for 8 people. I'm looking forward to hearing from you if you think this is the right thing for you, and otherwise, thank you for joining, and good luck with everything that you do.